Hi everyone, my name is Anthony James Hayes. You probably know me from Brothers to Searching, and I'm so honored today that you meet me here. I want to talk about a little bit about my book. The first one I wrote was Journey of the Christians, From Dead Works to Living Faith, my very first book. It's about the story about me, pretty much going through things and how I overcome by the Word of God. And here is The New Kingdom with Liberty Man and Evil Stone. That's my second best book so far. And I want to take a little time to tell you about my second book mostly. The first one is about some children. They go to like an adventure. They go to see a new kingdom, the future, I guess you can say, of God and how He's going to restore the kingdom to Garden of Eden conditions. And they fight good and evil and light and darkness. So I encourage you to actually get these books. They're available on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And then my second story, Liberty Man, a man who fights for freedom, and he takes off the chains of tyranny, of the kings of tyranny off of him. So he finally gets free, and I hope you find out his journey and how he got free and so on. And then my third book, The Evil Stone, a man who actually turned to the devil, or he sold his soul to the devil for a powerful magic stone. And he had the promise of ruling the world. So I hope you enjoy these books. They're available, and they're family friendly, and there's something you can learn with the Word of God. They're parables that you can teach your children and your grandchildren about. So I encourage you today to go to these places, and I hope you bless and you enjoy these books. Thank you.
You're about to embark on a journey through the written Word of God on subjects that deal with today. This is Brothers Just Searching.
How you doing, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Brothers Just Searching, where we talk about God's Word and current world events to educate and to edify believers of Jesus Christ. I'm Isaac, as always, with Brother Anthony and Bo Roban. Guys, how your Sunday afternoons going?
Good. We ate some good fried chicken this afternoon.
I can tell that you said it was spicy.
Yeah, I mean, if I open my mouth like that, I would have burned somebody's mouth.
I like how you visually show me like,
I would have had fire coming out like a dragon. I would have burned somebody's hair. You know, that's how spicy it was. I gotta have Dr. Pepper or something, you know, to cool it down. You're in trouble.
Bowen's just like, yeah.
Should have seen the shirt I had on today.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it was so hot. You touch him, you burn your hand.
Oh man.
Had jalapenos and
yeah,
Tabasco sauce and they had everything on there.
You just mixed it all, blow up.
Blow up. It looked like a bomb went off.
I thought you was gonna wear that shirt here today, and you showed up with a red shirt. I was like, well, I guess he didn't want the audience to know where he was from.
I didn't want to wear that shirt. I didn't want to wear something with an image on it.
Oh, true that. I'm wearing a hat with, so anyway.
Oh.
We're not big and famous yet.
Going against your own rule.
I know, huh?
Where's the black tape?
Yeah. Where's the black tape? Inside joke.
You had to come up with that.
Yeah, you had to come up with that. Yeah, the audience, now you know what? The audience is going to be looking for black tape all over. Like, where's the black tape?
Where's the black tape on the table? Where's that? I don't see it.
You know what? Now, that's what we forgot. We were supposed to put it on his mouth today. That's for everybody to be honest.
Just keep his whole head.
But he's the one that knows most about this, so we couldn't.
we had no choice.
We had no choice. Next week. So,
yeah, I didn't get a chance to study much on this. I'm kind of.
That's okay. Hey, we're flying. You know, I don't know what y'all two excuses are, but you know, I got a full-time job. I got a youth ministry I run. I got 2 podcasts, so you know how much stuff.
What you think I do? Sit at my house 24 hours a day and do nothing?
Listen, bro, and you party all night and you sleep all day, bro,
and drink heavily at the day.
Drink coffee.
I'm gonna be a heavy alcoholic.
Boy, we just did a podcast about that, boy.
But you see, what he does is he takes the coffee and he mixes
I
it
just let the audience know I drink very heavily at night.
We started YouTubing, man. People are going to be, all them YouTube pastors are going to be calling us out, you know.
For what?
For alcohol and for, you know. Man, we drink hard stuff here, Dr. Pepper, you know, or coffee, whatever we drink.
Yeah, we drinking some hard stuff. I kind of spiked mine a little bit with some tequila and some wild turkey and stuff, you know.
So that's why it was bubbling water.
That's why I was bubbling and smoking.
Man, I was kind of wondering there. It kind of looked like something from a science factory.
Wow.
Yeah, you
All
outside
right.
just mixing all kind of chemicals together.
All right. Well, look, Bo, we had some good news today. Brother Daniel didn't want to mention it earlier, well, a couple of weeks when he was here. And the only reason Brother Daniel isn't here this week, this series, he was really looking forward to doing it, but there a lot of things came up in the last minute. But Brother Daniel had a loss in his family, so keep him in your prayers. I think he's in Texas today. I'm not sure. So keep him in prayer. But anyway, when Brother Daniel was here, I think we was talking about the Medes and the Persians that night.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
We were in the process of expanding the borders, as he said. Well, today we got a new tour of the church, the new church.
A new church.
The new church. Yeah, nice in that building.
That's
too,
a nice
man.
building, bro.
Still need some work, but hey, we got 3 months to really get it going.
Like I said, my 2 nieces used to go to school over there. That was a Christian school. They went to school
You didn't
there.
go look at the school part of it today?
Yeah, I went. Yeah.
Them steps are wide and deep, man. You saw that?
I don't want to go up them stairs too often.
Well, boy, you kind of graduated a long time ago,
No, I never graduated. I quit graduated.
Well, was that the 70s or 80s?
I told...
Well, I can't say 60s you were born.
Well,
You
that
can't
was
say
back...
70s either. He was a child.
Boogie was back in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
Around 85, 84, 83.
Oh,
That's okay.
around
Half of
there.
Jesus' disciples weren't educated, so we fit good here.
That's right. He had he had more education than they did.
I don't know about that.
At least you had a diploma.
Well,
No, I don't have no diploma.
Oh, you did? No.
No.
I'm sorry.
Boogie, that diploma from the crazy house did not count.
I forgot. I'm so sorry.
I don't have
No,
no
but
diploma.
anyway, so it's a nice facility.
I told
so.
the teachers I had a job and I was going to work and I was too old to be in school.
Hey, you made
And
money.
I was smarter than them.
Well, hey, listen. You think about a diploma. You cannot live early on a diploma. You can't eat a diploma.
No, they don't put food on the table
No,
either.
so I'd rather have a job than a diploma. So I'm
But
living.
back in the day, you didn't need a diploma to get a job. Now you need a diploma to get a
that's true.
job.
You can go
And then
fish,
it don't
but-
do you no good still.
Sometimes.
A college education don't help you either.
Hey, you're right on that. Some people get college. I had a supervisor tell me one day that he went to college, got a degree, went on an interview. They will offer him less money than his job at the retail store, so he stayed at the retail store.
Well, yeah. I heard one guy told me he was going to be a doctor and he ended up going to be a bricklayer.
Well, I had one guy tell me he was going to be I don't know, some dude making a lot of money. He ended up digging ditches.
I believe it. Hey?
We're not against a higher education, but it does not always work out for everybody.
No, that don't mean nothing all the time.
I'm glad Jesus is coming back.
Oh yeah.
Because the way things are going, it don't look like things are getting better.
Man, you're trying to make me talk before my Cajun conservative page, man. I got.
So we
Yeah, you're dipping into my.
so we better stop. We're getting into
Yeah,
that
you're gonna.
stuff.
Yeah, I can sue you for copyright issues.
Well, we didn't know that.
I don't know what you're gonna sue me for. I ain't got nothing.
Anyway, all right. So if you have not yet, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell on YouTube. You also find us on Apple, Spotify, and Google, and many other platforms. This is the audio version that we have, and God's doing great and mighty things. So just be keeping us in prayer, and just it's amazing what God's doing. Brother Brandon preached this morning about seasons and how God puts you in certain seasons, and there's something always to do in that season. And it was more of an announcement, but he did put a sermon into it, and I think this ministry, the small podcast, is starting to grow. God's opening up plenty of doors. I'm always satisfied. Just not this, but the Cajun Conservative and all the great stuff, the Coteau Holmes. God's doing great things. So, Bowen, you might be a traveling televangelist after all, man.
I wonder what season we're in. We're in the 21st season or the 28th season.
I don't know, with all the new stuff we've been dealing with for the last couple of weeks, man. I'm lucky to get out of the season we're in right now. So.
When Brother Bowens go to other churches, the kids from Sunday school, they came, we thought John the Baptist was dead.
With his sackcloth and his ashes. So, anyway.
Your diet is still honey and...
no, he can say no, it was crawfish and etouffee.
It'll be cockroaches and honey.
hey, you got your vitamin C? You won't get you the corona?
I'm going to make sure I wear a pit sack.
right, we need to get into our topic. As Brother Brandon said. Later, guys. All right. So, a couple of weeks ago, we went ahead and talked about Alexander the Great and how Alexander the Great took over the kingdoms. We talked about his dad, and we talked about the first half of the start of Alexander the Great and his kingdom and all the Greek history before then. We're going to start back our series on One Statue, Five Kingdoms, and we talked about after Alexander the Great died. There's just so much history, guys. Just in Alexander the Great, I think we took like 30 minutes on the last time we talked about it, just on Alexander the Great and his kingdoms.
Parts, did we? I'm not quite sure.
No, this is the second part of the Grecian.
Okay. But it took a little while, yeah.
Yeah, we took about 30 minutes just on Alexander the Great. And Alexander the Great's kingdom was so vast. He was the son of Philip II from Macedonia. They went to take over Greece. Philip died. Then Alexander the Great took over the kingdom. And 2 years after he was king, he said, look, I'm going after the great state of Persia. And he took over Persia. Went and took over a couple of parts of India. Now, that's just a short version. There was a lot of things between that. Right. But Alexander the Great, his army said, look, we're tired. We want to go back home. He said, all right. He made a comment, Boogie, you said, that he did not have no more land to conquer. I think what happened was he went on a rock and he cried and said, I have no more land to conquer. Well, he went to Babylon and he had a party and he drank wine, and a lot of people believe he drank unmixed wine. If you study alcohol in the Bible, what they would do is it was kind of like a blessing in disguise for both of them. What they would do, they would take wine. You couldn't just drink straight grape juice or wine like that. It was contaminated.
Right.
So you had to have water. When you added water, it would kill the bacteria, and vice versa. The water was bad. You put a little bit of wine in, it would kill the bacteria, and you could drink a little bit of water. But some people say he drank unmixed wine, and he died in June of 523 BCE. When he died, he just fell sick. And he was sick for about 10 days. He had fever for 10 days. And he died in Babylon. I think it was June 11th, they said.
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
In 523 BC, 32, 33 years old, something around that age. Well, when he died, his generals asked him who would be his successor. Mm-hmm. And he told him to whoever was the strongest. So what happened was, at that time, after Alexander the Great died, his four of his main generals took the kingdom and split it. Now, some of the names I can't really say, but one of them was Ptolemy, Cassander. Mm-hmm. They all took over certain parts. Cassander took over Macedonia and Greece. And one of them took over Trans and Asia Minor. One took over Egypt, Palestine. This is a lot of history involved with that. So we're going to talk about how that was also Bible prophecy, because we read in Daniel chapter 2, Greece was the stomach of brass and the thigh of brass. But I think it's Daniel chapter 7. Is it Daniel chapter 7 when we talk about the leopard, or Daniel chapter 7? Daniel chapter 7.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
When it talks about the leopard, it says that the leopard had 4 heads and 4 wings. Mm-hmm. Well, when he had the 4 heads and the 4 wings, when the leopard was struck down, I think the 4 heads were cut off or the wings were plucked out.
No. One of the heads were wounded, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that, symbolizing Alexander the Great, him dying. Or one of the horns were broken. Okay. Yeah, one of the horns were broken. That symbolized Alexander the Great, that he died, pretty much. Yeah. So it's brought through by prophecy about
Alexander the Great dying, and who would take over his kingdom would be the 4 kingdoms. And we've learned through that time, they call that the era. I'm trying to get it right here.
It's called the Distichs Wars or something
like that. The Diskasa, which in Greek meaning successors.
Successors, yeah.
So you had at that time wars. You had at that time Cleopatra, which it's kind of funny, all right? Instead of them uniting, like the United States of America, there's separate states, but we're one government.
Right.
They didn't do that. These generals intently spent their times warring with each other for more territories. But even as they revenge from the they wanted more land. They
were trying to expand their territories.
Right, they were trying to expand it, but it didn't make sense. You was like one country, and it was
what was going on here. I mean, I didn't watch much of the series of the film, but I heard about it. It was almost like the Game of Thrones kind of speaking type situation that was going on right here. It was like one of the videos I watched. One of the Greek generals, he actually crowned himself king, and his son was his successor. And he was like, "Well, we are the rightful heirs to Alexander the Great's kingdom." Because remember, he didn't have a successor, so they were all trying to compete, saying which one was the successor, which one was the rightful heir to his kingdom.
Well, that was the thing,
that's what
too.
They were battling. That's what was going on.
Alexander the Great, he had an unborn child at the time when he died, and a lot of people thought that child should have been the king, but also some of his generals
young at the time.
Yeah, well, he wasn't even born yet when Alexander died.
Right.
Alexander was in Babylon, and their unborn child, Roxana.
Yeah, Roxana.
Roxana was left in charge as like the overseer of the child, but they also had Alexander the Great's half brother, Philip III.
Yeah.
So the way that it was said, they split Macedonia, but his general was overseeing both of them. So that's what took over right there. Later on in life, Alexander the Great's son, Alexander IV, died, or they killed him, and they also killed Philip III, which they said he was crazy. He was
not in his right mind.
No, as they said, he was a couple of fries short of a Happy Meal.
He was a Fruit Loop.
Or they say he had a disease.
Wait a minute, Boeing. Do you think? Well, I don't know how much history you read on that. Do you think he was more of a fruitcake than the last guy we talked about on here?
No, the last guy we talked about on here, he was past the fruitcake.
He was past the fruitcake.
Yeah, he was past that.
He had a couple of peanuts in that.
He didn't have no peanuts in his.
Well, some people think that Alexander the Great's other son, they believe he was actually retarded. They think he had a disease or something like
mentally
that.
Disabled.
Yeah. So that's what they pretty much. So that's why they got rid of him too. But I think they would have killed him either way.
Well, it fulfilled prophecy too.
Yeah. Because it was not given to his successors.
Yeah, and his successors was his generals. So, but at that time, you had wars, and look, we could go into a lot of the wars they went into.
Lord, yeah,
but we'll be here for 20 days if we had to break down all the wars, because within the time span of Alexander the Great dying, he died in 323. 320 BC started the war process of all the generals. They all wanted to go ahead and, like you said, Boog, they were saying, we are the successors. We're the rightful heir to this throne, so we're going to go ahead and take over.
Yeah, but you got to understand, them four generals fought against each other.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They
all fought each other.
Well, like if you go to research, they were saying to themselves, we're the rightful heirs.
Yeah.
We're the ones that got to take over this kingdom and run this kingdom.
Which one was going to sit on the throne? That was the problem.
Well, Alexander the Great said it the best way: whoever's the strongest.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but
that's what I'm saying. It was like a Game of Thrones type thing going on right here.
Pretty much. It was a game of Monopoly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right now, like I said, in that time, I think it was 310. We had these wars going on, and they call them the success wars. You had all these wars going around, but we have some key players of history on here. Alexander the Great's sister, which I found that out. That was pretty weird to find out that Cleopatra was King Philip and Alexander the Great's mama's. That was his full blown sister. That was his full sibling.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
No, and it was Boog, you know a little bit about Cleopatra. How does she fit into all these success wars? Because I know a lot of Alexander the Great's generals wanted to marry her to say, look, we're direct lineage to Alexander the Great.
Right.
That means we should take over the kingdom.
Right. Well, the thing was, she came from Alexander the Great's general, Ptolemy. He was one of the generals that were actually one of the best generals that Alexander the Great had. So he took over Egypt, and somehow she got into that dynasty. She was one of his, I think his cousins or something like that. But she was part of the dynasty, because most people don't realize Cleopatra was not Egyptian. She was Greece. She was a Grecian type individual. Her and Ptolemy.
Well, she was, like I said, she was Macedonian.
Grecian. Yeah,
she was Macedonian because she was Alexander the Great's sister.
But what they did was, when they each territory, each part they conquered, they mixed Greeks with other cultures. Like, for example, when they went to Egypt, all they did was mix Egypt with Greek stuff. That's all they did.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the Maccabees War and Maccabees were rolling later on.
Yeah.
But now, this is a strange thing about this, too. If you study, she was just not... I think she married the guy you were just talking about. That's how she got into that. But that wasn't the only time she got a proposal. Because, like I said, a lot of these guys knew that Cleopatra was the sister of Alexander the Great. They all asked them to marry her. The first Successors War was between I can't think of that guy's name right off the jump, but the guy that took over the Medes and Persia section with Babylon. He was trying to go ahead and get a marriage going so he can unite with one of the other generals. Well, when he heard that Alexander the Great's sister Cleopatra was available, he told her, "Hey, look, you can be part of the biggest kingdom."
Right.
I promise to marry this woman. I'll marry her. But in a couple of years, I'll divorce her, and you can be my wife, and I'll just throw her to the side. Well, her dad. Well, it got back to Macedonia. Well, that general took a trip down to the other king. So he said, "Oh, well, you want to do that? So guess what? I'm going to attack you and fight you." At the same time, the one in Egypt, Ptolemy was planning a revolt against the one that was supposed to take Cleopatra.
It was a mess.
You know, I wonder if they read Greek history, like you said, Bo, and earlier. They created the soap operas out of that, because that was
they had
bouncing.
They had some bouncing in that thing, boy.
Man. And it looked like each one was waiting for a war. Really, they were any little thing started.
I don't know why them people fought like that among each other like that. I don't understand that. Why?
Greed and power.
So much greed and power, probably, and wanting to be ruler over something that, you know. I mean, after Alexander the Great, I mean, he had 4 generals. You would think that one of them, you know, I don't know which. I forgot which one was ruling.
I just want to think if that was in the Greek DNA, because if you notice, they couldn't get along before Alexander the Great.
Right, yeah.
Because we studied history a couple of weeks ago on how Alexander the Great and them, like when Philip came and took over Greece, they weren't united. The Greeks were all in a Greek state. After Alexander the Great died, they went, because we're going to talk about that later on, they had revolts again of the Greek states saying, well, look, shoot, Alexander the Great is dead. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to fight them. We're going to go ahead and be our own state and country again, but city-states. So apparently the whole Grecian Empire couldn't get along together.
Well, all cultures can't. You think about it, even South America, Indian tribes fought each other for domination. One Cherokee tribe or another Indian tribe fought another one. I mean, in Africa, it was the same way. In Europe, they fought each other. I mean, England and France fought a lot of wars. So, I mean, every country, even they're from the same race, they have different ideas of running things. And
you forgot one key battle in that, though.
Was that
the Democrats and the Republicans?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
they're always fighting. They're part of the same country.
Yeah, so it's just to show you. It's just to show you.
It is.
It's just like a lot of people ask. I know we didn't get to the one world government type yet, but a lot of people ask, how can the Antichrist be a Jew and still persecute the Jews? Where it depends on what he believes and what sect of Judaism he's in, or what sect of religion he's in. It's a tribal thing. You know, most wars are started by tribal religious than blood. So
do you think that because they were trying to pass the Hellenistic era where they were trying to put all the empire as for Greek culture and Do you honestly think that was the problem? A lot of them couldn't agree with religion. A lot of them couldn't agree what was going on.
That could have been that too, but I think it's mostly this one wanted to dominate the other. They are like I said, which one was trying to say like, hey, we're Alexander the Great's rightful heir. You know, I think that's what the thing that was mostly going on. I'll be honest, it could have been that. But I think that was mostly what was going on in that part. Because I mean, religion wise, they all worship Zeus. They all had the same, you know, thing. It's just, I think that's what was going on mostly. It was mostly a powerful wealth struggle type stuff.
Okay, so on 310, we're going to go ahead and move forward. 310 BC, Calasters had Alexander the Great's son, Alexander the Fourth, and his widow and his mama Roxanne murdered, bringing a brutal end to the royal dynasty. We talked about that earlier, which had ruled Macedonia for so many cultures. Soon after this, the survivors amongst Alexander's successors began proclaiming themselves kings, and Calasters became king of Macedonia. He died in 297, and the country expanded a sequence of struggles as claimants for the throne fought each other. So we're going to move on to, after that point, the original four successors took over. You know, meanwhile, in Greece, many of the city-states were banding themselves together. This is where you get the Greek leagues. You had them before before the Persian armies came. You had Athens had a league. You had the Spartans have a league. And all these leagues were coming together. They're saying, look, we want to run our own kingdom. And that's where all these struggles. Like I said, if we had to name a segment for this period of time, it would be the wars,
right?
The Greek wars, because all these successors fought against each other. Then you had the leagues fighting these successors. It was just
and you know
crazy.
what's weird about all these generals all fighting each other? They were all companions. They all fought.
They all fought along each other, right?
Yeah. They were with Alexander the Great, some of them, and so you know. And it's just amazing how they were all fighting each other, or their descendants, or their children who came after them were fighting each other. So it's amazing, how their dads or grandfathers fought, or their dads, and now they all fighting each other. It's amazing.
So we have years later all these wars. If you read history, these families came. You had the Romans start gaining into power. It wasn't long, but it wasn't a big. I'm trying to see where this is at. Now you had the Spurgeon research at the time too. A lot of people don't. Not Spurgeon. Oh Lord, I'm thinking of Charles Spurgeon's. The Spartans research in Greece. Meanwhile, things had taken an interesting turn. Spartan, under its remarkable king Clymeces the third, reigned from 235 to 222, only a couple of years, had undertaken a route of the branch reform of its institution, which established it to rebuild its mighty strength. At the time, because a lot of people don't remember, Spartan and Athens and all of them was fighting, but when Philip II came with Alexander the Great, he diminished all the Spartans. He killed them, but they were starting to come back. Through this time of all these successors, now this is years after, but all these successors started going, because you had a king from the large city of Corinth joined the Athens League in 243.
Athens.
So they all started fighting each other. Like I said, it's hard to explain this history because unless you're really in depth with it, of the wars and all that. But Spartans started coming out. And they joined the league. They were trying to reconstruct the Papanidas League. This posed a major challenge to the Arkan League, which we talked about earlier. They formed, whose forces was put to resist the Spartans. The league therefore called on the Macedonians for aid. Doson, who had been acclaimed king as Athens, like I said, these names are butchered. And Rome don't get any better either. I'm just giving people notice. Formed an alliance with the other Greek states as well as the Arcans to form a broad-based league under his leadership and overwhelmed the Spartan army at the Battle of Thessaly in 222 BC. This greatly strengthened Macedonia's influence throughout Greece. Dawson died soon after this while dealing with the invasion of Illyrians on the northern frontier, and their throne passed again to his nephew Philip. The Athenians fought against the Macedonians 220 to 217 BC, who maintained their alliance with the Archons, defeated them. But by this time, however, a new power will begin to cast shadow on the Macedonian and the Greek Empire, which we're going to talk about that in a minute, because this started leading to something else with all these wars that happened. Because Alexander the Great died in 323 BC. It's kind of funny how it only took maybe less than 100 years for this great empire to start falling.
Right.
And it was
fell
due,
apart.
well, it was due because of the Civil Wars.
Yeah.
Look what the Civil War, the American Civil War did.
Right, exactly.
You know, a lot of people, just a war against the North and the South. This wasn't just North against the South. This was brother against brother. This the currency split. It nearly broke the economy. It wasn't until after Reference B. Hayes, when he took over the Black Hills, that brought back the economy, because they found gold there.
Yeah, that's true.
Civil War, and look, then you had the Spartans fighting against the Athens, and which we already proved through history, they hated each other.
Well, yeah.
And the Spartans, when they were abolished in 217, they really didn't have no strong army, which I brought out a point earlier. Because we were talking about an event that happened. Because a lot of people might be asking, well, Isaac, how does this tie into biblical history? How does this? This is all between the testaments.
This is what we're talking about right here deals with 400 something years between the New Testament and Old Testament.
Right.
The silent
That's
years.
where that was the silent years where God didn't speak to Israel at all because they had rebelled against God so much. God quit speaking to them, and in those 400 something years until Jesus came on the scene, that's where all of this took place.
Yeah, and see, a lot of people also ask about this. There is the revolt of the Maccabees revolt. Now, a lot of people might ask them, what is Maccabees? King James, ESV, and all of them, they don't have the book of Maccabees in it, but I believe it's the Catholic Bible.
It's a Catholic Bible. I have one at home, and it does have Maccabees in it.
Well, they got the 3 books of Maccabees.
Yeah, they have first, second, and third Maccabees.
So that, because all these wars started dying down a little bit, but all these kings wanted to go ahead and spread their Greek mythology, their Greek gods, and everything. Which I have an article right here that talks about the Maccabees revolt. Boogie, go ahead and explain to us a little bit, because this was happening. Yeah, this happened a little later in time.
Yeah,
but it was getting to the point, to the end, which I want to make a point after you say about it.
The Maccabees talks about these wars, don't it?
Yes. What happened was when the one in Egypt, when Alexander the Great's general in Egypt, he had a general. I found out, I didn't know this until studying all this, that his general actually they fought each other. And, well, they fought. They were together at the time, and then what happened was he ended up because he joined with the Egypt pharaoh or the Alexander the Great's general. And what he did was he gave him he told me, you can have your own empire. So it came to be known as the Lucius Empire. And what happened was they were starting to take over some areas. And matter of fact, Rome plays a little part in it, because at the time, the Roman Empire, I think they just fought over Carthage at the time. And we can go more into detail to that when we get to the Roman Empire. But they believed they were starting the Seleucid Empire, and it was getting close to the Romans. And so the Romans had them, they had the rebellion put down, or a little fight they had. And so they were paying tribute to the Romans. You see, in Egypt and the Seleucid Empire, they were paying tribute to the Romans to keep the Romans out for invading them. Because Egypt didn't get conquered for a little while. So that's how they did it. They kept the Romans out by paying tribute. So what happened was, Palestine at the time was taken over twice or a couple of times by one of these empires. They ended up fighting each other. So the Ptolemy Empire, or the Ptolemy Kingdom in Egypt, they had Palestine for a little while, and they had the Jews where they were free, and they had their religion. They could worship freely like they wanted. But then later on, then the Seleucid Empire took over. And so, and then Antiochus the third, he was the king. He had it for a little while, and he let the Jews have their freedom and worship. Then, then Antiochus the fourth took over, and that's when this period of he was actually persecuting the Jewish people. He told the Jews that, hey, you cannot do the Sabbath or you cannot do Jewish rituals. He was actually trying to make the Jews eat pig. Matter of fact, there was actually a high Jewish priest or man he actually killed because he told him, you need to eat the pig, and he refused to eat the pig. So he was actually killed. And so as this was going on, but there was a lot of civil war that was going on in the Jewish community as well. What happened was you had two different sects of Jews. They have some, you can call them modern Jews. They were trying to get into the Greek stuff more. They were getting the Hellenic age where they were trying to get the Greek culture and the dressing and the names. And matter of fact, one good thing about this for sure is that at the time the Old Testament was starting to be translated in Greek. So we did a video on the Reformation where that actually helped the Reformation when a lot of these Old Testaments and later on the New Testament was written in Greek. So that helped the Reformation a lot. So that's one good thing. One of the good things that happened with the Greek stuff. Go ahead, Bo.
You had two different groups of Jews, is what you're saying?
Yes. You had the secular Jews who were going more to the Greece, the Greek culture, and you had the other Jews who wanted to stay the old Jewish way.
And the old Jewish way, like the temple?
Yes, like the old form of Judaism and stuff.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
It's kind of like today what's going on with the liberals. That they want the communism and
and
the new version.
All right, okay.
And you have today those who believe in the Constitution like us and the Bible. We are conservative. That's what's kind of what's going on.
That's pretty much what's going on with the Jews. Yeah, I got you.
And what happened was, and there was a struggle culture. It was more of a culture struggle than anything else. Matter of fact, they actually had a priest who, he became priest, but there was a guy who actually killed a priest who was over the temple, and he became a priest. And he was more on the Greek side. And matter of fact, he was giving the king Antiochus, he was giving him money, and he was actually stealing money from the treasury in the Jewish temple to give to the king of Greece, of the Seleucid Empire at the time. So there was a lot of corruption. There was a lot of things going on. And what happened was he started pressing Greece. He started pressing the Jewish people a lot to exert more Greek worship and stuff like that. Pretty much, for the longest time in Palestine, they had freedom because when Alexander the Great was alive, he gave freedom to the Jews. Matter of fact, he was tolerant towards all religions. I think we talked about that last time when we talked about it. Him and the Persians and them, the Jews worshipped freely for the longest time.
Yeah, because there was a lot of wars after Alexander the Great. There was a lot of wars to do with the Jews. Yeah, but the thing was, until then, no matter what empire took over, what part of the Grecian kingdom took over, the Jews had freedom to worship and whatever. Right. But at this point, he's actually known in history as the Antichrist. He's like a foretelling of what Antiochus, the fort, it's going to be known. He's actually known as the Antichrist. He's a foreshadowing of what the Antichrist is going to do. Right. Because what he did was he went in the temple. He actually killed a pig on the temple. I don't know what the Greeks about them and their pigs, but a lot of it had to evolve around pig worship. Or it was Grecian, but they had their pigs worship as well. So he took one priest out of the way, and he put another priest that actually killed a pig on the altars of the Jewish temple. And it was to Zeus. So every time you killed a pig, it was to Zeus, to the false god. Right. So he desecrated the temple. And some people think, I don't know if this is true, but some people think he even maybe tried to put an idol into the Jewish temple.
Well, what we were reading earlier in the prep, what was going on too, they went ahead and they set up a gymnasium on top of the gym. Huh? No, on top of the temple.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
They put it on top of the temple, and what was the culture? Because we talked about a little bit of it last week when the Greek people had very dirty minds as for worship. What they would do is when they made these gymnasiums, you had to go in there completely naked. Now, the law of Moses was that you couldn't walk around naked. You had to be
circumcised.
You had to be circumcised. Well, these guys were going in there and defiling the temple as well. Mm-hmm. Wasn't it this at the same time that the Pharisees and the Sadducees were formed?
Well, they came in after the rebellion.
Because if you watch the Chosen series, they talk about how the Pharisees and the Sadducees were put there to make sure the people kept the law.
That's right.
And if you study culture of that time, they were like the religious police. If they saw people that weren't following the law, they would condemn them openly to shame them so they can come back to the law.
So that's why they were
Well,
so
a lot of
strict.
times they put them out too.
Yeah, they put them at the
Stone them.
synagogues.
They put them out the synagogues, and they couldn't come back.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
that all resulted from the Maccabees revolt.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Because,
saying.
The Greeks went ahead and defiled the temple basically,
Yeah,
and that's
killing
what
the
started
pig.
these people saying no, we're not holding
Because
that.
why I say that is because when I read in the New Testament about Jesus, about in the temples when they go into synagogues and stuff, how the religious people like the Pharisees and the Sadducees, a lot of these people would go against the laws that they carry,
right, yeah.
and they throw these people out of the synagogues. And when Jesus was on the scene, Jesus would see this stuff. So that a lot of times when I read that and I see that, that's what that reminds me of. I mean, it reminds me of that. That's what those people were there for, was to keep those laws,
And keep
that the
people in
people
check.
keep
Right.
people in check.
And you got to realize something too, though. Look at the difference between Alexander the Great when he was alive to that time and part of history, which is 100 some, which we're about to read. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, the Roman Empire is starting to build up forces because at that time, or prior to that, in 264, it was a span about 20 years, to 264 to 241. That's when Rome first started fighting Corinth. Carthage.
Yeah.
But at the time, Rome had started growing their empire. Rome was a small region, as most of these empires were, and they took over all Italy. And they were moving towards
the island of Sicily.
they're moving towards Sicily and all that.
Yeah.
And in 218 to 202, it started again, and they had a young Maccabees king called Philip. While this is that was before the Maccabees revolt, but a young King Philip went ahead and joined in with some Greek leaders to fight against Rome. Well, he went against.
They joined Carthage.
They joined
if I'm not
Carthage.
mistaken. Yeah.
So while all this is going on, God is starting to prep
The Roman
Rome
Empire.
to say, "Hey, it's your turn to take over." But it's kind of funny, but 'cause I mentioned this earlier about all this Maccabee, the Book of Maccabees and the Maccabees revolt. It's kind of funny to how the Greek king over there was defiling the temple,
Yes.
probably defiling Jerusalem and talking bad on God. It's funny how God was like, "Oh, you're going to defile me and you're going to ruin my temple," because Maccabees started in 165 and Rome took over Greece at 141.
Yeah. So it was start. Yeah.
So God was saying, "You're going to defile
God was
me."
fulfilling His word.
Well, he just wasn't fulfilling his word, though, because, boy, look at all the history before that.
I know.
Of of anybody. Look, we talked about in Daniel chapter 2.
Yeah.
No, Daniel chapter 5, when the handwriting on
When
the
the
wall.
handwriting on the wall, yeah.
What was
That was Babylon.
Belshazzar doing?
Yeah.
Belshazzar was defiling
Defiling
the symbols,
The
of,
symbols
of the temple. And God said, well, look, that night took over his kingdom.
Kingdom. Yeah, that's where his kingdom was taken over.
So I honestly feel when Rome took over, that God was saying, look, you defiled my temple one last time.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because it stayed there. Because everybody calls it Herod's temple, but it wasn't really Herod's temple.
No,
He just
no.
refined it.
That's right. It was really it was not Herod's. People say it's Herod's temple, but really all Herod did was he add on to it. He just he made it more better. That's all he did, pretty much.
Right.
And he got credit for calling it the Herod's temple, but it really is Ezekiel's temple.
Ezekiel and Nehemiah.
Yeah, it's really their temple.
Could have been both
It was
of
just
them.
smaller. I mean, it was just a smaller, but he just made it larger. It's just like someone taking a house and they decide, hey, I'm gonna add a room to the house of that.
That's what they did to the temple.
Yeah, they just added more.
They added
things.
more
That's
to
what
it.
Herod did.
Yeah.
And he spent more money on it
Right.
and so on.
Right.
But at this time, though, that he was doing all this, Roman Empire was starting to emerge. And the thing is, what he did is he defiled the temple. He actually slaughtered a pig. And they slaughtered a pig, and that's what it didn't quite start then, but it was a start of a revolution of the war. Matter of fact, there was a lot of Jews who got persecuted and killed for refusing to do what the king wanted.
Yes,
A lot
exactly.
died.
A lot
there
of them
was one
died.
lady, her name was Hannah. I didn't know that her name was Hannah, and she had like 7 sons, and they said that all of them died because the king ordered them to eat a pig,
and they didn't want. They refused.
Yep.
And the Jewish people have a history of sliding like that.
Oh yeah,
but it backslid 7. You read in the Old Testament, it backslid 7 times on God.
But they refused. Yeah, they
but
stood up for
they
the
refused.
freedom.
A lot of them did. Yeah, but a lot of them did turn away as well.
Well, look what's going on today in the Christian world.
Yeah,
you have some
exactly.
Christians that turn into the purpose-driven life, or they're turning to other things.
It's the same thing.
We're trying to keep the original gospel the way I was preached a long time ago. You know. So that
it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Christianity too.
Like they say, history repeats itself.
Yeah.
But at that point, like I said, this is a couple of years before I brought that up. But the Roman Empire went ahead, and because that the King Philip joined in with the Corinthians, the people that were fighting Rome. Rome declared war on Macedonia in 200 BC.
So he joined the wrong side of the fight. Yeah.
This ended with the decisive Roman victory in 197. The Roman imposed a harsh peace on Macedonia, returning to her ancient borders and effectively ending the status as a major power in the Macedonian in the Mediterranean. Then they withdrew. So what happened was with that, Greece was still the high power. Rome beat them, but Rome said, "Look, we don't want to take none of your country. We don't want no problem with y'all no more." Unfortunately. This started in the aftermath. This started a war of the Athens went on to defeat Spartan. We talked about it earlier to take control of the whole southern Greece. Man, these Greek words. It
sounds Greek to me.
Meanwhile, fearing Romans' growing influence in the region, called the king of Macedonia called on the king. On the Thessalonian king, which was the time of the revolt.
Mm-hmm. Seleucus.
Articus III, the Great, who ruled the vast empire stretching from Asia Minor to Iran to lead them against their former allies. Articus crossed over into Greece, but was heavily defeated in the battle. Man, that valley had a lot of what a 300 for that.
Thermopylae?
Thermopylae, man. Yeah, that battle, they had a lot of battles right there.
Wow.
In 191 BC, having crossed back at the Age of Man, he was again defeated at the Battle of Magnes in 190. Yes?
Go ahead. Okay. I'm going to say what I got to say after a while.
The Arthonian League was forced to sign a peace treaty with Rome, which made it a predominant Roman ally. Therefore, the League continued to exist in name only, meaning that the Romans said, look, you're done. Y'all stop. So from that point on, leading up to the Maccabees rebellion and all that, it was just war constantly going on. What you had to say, Bo?
You were talking about that place where a lot of wars took place. That kind of reminds me of Armageddon.
Yeah.
A lot of wars took place in that valley where Armageddon's going to take place.
Yeah, it was called Jehoshaphat.
Yeah, exactly. And when he read, when he read that, I said that reminds me of the War of Armageddon.
They had a lot of battles.
They had a lot of battles in that valley where that's going to take place. Yeah,
it was a trading route.
Yeah, I think King David fought in that valley.
Well, we know for sure it was a trading ground.
A trading ground, right.
Yeah, it was a place where they had trading.
Where they had a lot of trading, but I think they had wars in there, too.
Yeah, I think so, too.
So the
Seleucian Empire?
Yeah, well, the Maccabees revolt was going on at this time.
Yeah.
At Macedonia, so Philip the Fourth's son was ready to try to flex his muscles. He wanted to say, "Hey, I'm the new dog. I'm the new king of this place. I'm going to take over Rome." So he tried to go ahead and stop the Roman influence that was going on in Greece, and this started the Battle of Pydna in 168 BC. The Romans then abolished the kingdom of Macedonia, and altogether the first Hellenistic kingdom. So they went ahead and look. They were done because they broke the peace treaty. Rome came in, and Rome just stormed Macedonia, and they said, well, at the time, we're going to go ahead and get rid of all the Greeks as well. We're just going to take over this whole kingdom.
Wow.
They went ahead and took over the Archaic League, tried one final time to rid Greece of the Roman Empire, the influence. In 146 BC, they was defeated, and Corinth was destroyed. It was laid to the ground.
Yeah.
So, and that's where it comes to a point, like I said, because we talked about the Maccabees revolt.
Yeah.
When they defiled the temple like that, God said, no, this is not going to handle. 20 years later, after that revolt, Rome came into power. Now, was Rome gentle with Jewish people? No.
No, they were cruel.
They were cruel. But the thing of it is, the Grecian Empire fell in 146 BC, 20 years after that revolt, and Rome took over as the main superpower.
Wow.
And until then, Alexander the Great only expanded as far as they did. Rome went from Italy all the way to India, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
not that far?
No. Rome only took the Mediterranean areas where Egypt.
So they didn't take over
They
the
took
Medes and the
Egypt
Persians?
and all that.
No.
They
They did take over Egypt. They took
Yeah,
all
they-
the Romans wanted to control the Mediterranean area because people don't realize that's what started the Roman and the Carthage War. Because you see, Carthage was a Mediterranean trade power. And Rome wanted it because Rome wanted to trade. There was a trade war that happened between Rome and Carthage. Both wanted to control the Mediterranean Sea. And whoever controlled Sicily and those islands actually controlled all the Mediterranean trade. So that's what was going on. So Rome wanted the Mediterranean. They conquered other areas and the lands beyond the Mediterranean. But their first goal really was to conquer the Mediterranean places.
Yeah,
they wanted to trade.
Yeah, that's what they wanted, mainly.
Yeah, so that's what destroyed. And of course, that's when the first time Rome came on stage, on the political world stage. Yeah.
Yes, a lot of history,
Yeah. So,
But anyway, that was the end of the Grecian Empire, which was the end of the brass stomach and thighs, going into Daniel chapter 2. And we're going to get into the next time. We're going to start the Roman Empire, which there's a lot of history into the Roman Empire.
I found a lot of videos to watch on here about Rome.
Me too.
So we're going to be talking about that next time on this podcast. So a lot of things. But that's what happened after the death of Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
And that was the fall
I just can't believe
the Grecian Empire.
That's unreal, the fighting that went on, and that, you know.
And you know what's sad? You know it's the Hellenistic Empire. I understand that it was one age in time, but Greek history all along is hard to study. By far, of all these 4 kingdoms that we studied, that Daniel saw, is the hardest because you had different ages. You had the Classic Age, you had the Golden Age, you had the Hellenistic Age.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out what happened, how it all fits in.
Right.
And look, let's go ahead and say something. Yeah, Greek fell as a superpower, but they influenced Rome. Because Rome was influenced by their system of government.
Their science,
their how they
literature,
dressed. It was just
philosophy and everything.
Right. So Rome went ahead and had a lot of influence. I mean, Greek had a lot of influence in the culture. Look at our culture today. You have the Lincoln Memorial, shaped just like a lot of the Greek ancient Roman buildings. You have the Washington Monument. That was influenced by Egypt, but that was Grecian stuff too.
You're talking about the
Washington,
pyramid? Yes, it was Egyptian.
It was Egyptian, but didn't Greeks have some as well too, like that?
No, it was Egyptian.
Okay, I was wrong.
Yeah,
but the White House has pillars. It looked like Greek, and so the Grecian Empire influenced a lot of people, and you can see why it did it too, because they were the thought process of saying we're going to bring our religion to all them people, and we're going to expand the religion as well.
But that's so much history right there, man.
So much you can cover in an hour.
Much.
But one thing we want to say though about Maccabees rebellion, we're going to hurry quick do this. They actually threw off the Seleucian Syrians out of Palestine. They actually had a period of freedom before Rome came. They actually had a freedom religion, or they had their own country for a little while. They had their independence for a little while before Rome came in.
But Jerusalem wasn't considered as a country
as a state at that time.
Yeah, well, Judea was considered.
Well, Judea was, but not
Yeah.
Rome, not Israel itself.
No, but Judea was. They had their own little kingdom.
Yeah,
for
they
a
did.
while.
Yeah.
When the Maccabees family actually, we call them Maccabees, but really they were called the Minusians.
Because I think at that time, Israel was kind of scattered all over the world at that time.
Yeah, they were scattered all over from the Babylonians.
From the Babylonians, from the Rome.
Remember we
Persians,
talked about in the second part of this series about the Medes and Persians. That's why Esther fit in. They had 3 returns to Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did all of them go back to
No.
They're still scattered.
They're still scattered all over.
Because in 1948, when Israel came a nation, they actually had an airlift in Iraq, a bunch of Jews to Israel. So, yeah, it shows you right there, there was a lot.
Well, today you got millions of Jews that's already living there.
But we see that's why most people believe, that's why Apostle Peter probably died in Babylon, because there was a huge Jewish population there, and his goal was to win the Jewish people.
That's where Paul died, didn't he?
No, Paul died in Rome.
But
that's why some people
we're going to get
believe,
to that in a few minutes.
Yeah, well, that's why some people believe, that's why Apostle Peter died because there was a big Jewish population in that area. So that's why they believe he maybe died. Well, he didn't die there or something. He's buried in Jerusalem. They believe he went there and they moved his body to Jerusalem, something like that.
That's where they crucified him upside down.
Well, they crucified him in Babylon, they believe, and they probably moved his body to Jerusalem. That's what they believe. So, but the Bible don't really say for sure.
No, the Bible don't say where he was crucified.
Right. It don't really give. That's just a suggestion people are thinking.
We still got a long way to go. Oh,
Yeah.
we got Rome, and then we got the 10 toes. Oh my goodness gracious!
But you see, that's where Hanukkah comes from. When the Jews,
y'all were talking about
y'all
were talking about the Antichrist and where the Antichrist would come from.
Mm-hmm.
This is, and I heard Jimmy Swaggart say, I listen to him a lot. I like Jimmy Swaggart. I listen to him a lot, and I kind of believe what he says. He said the Antichrist is going to have to be somebody that the Jews trust and know.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have to be somebody within the Jewish nation.
Mm-hmm.
But like he said, why would somebody that was a Jew himself would hate the Jews that much to do what he's going to do to the Jews? Because you got to figure, when he's going to take that and he's going to make that 7-year peace agreement, and they're going to sign that paper, he's almost like saying he's going to slaughter all the Jews. Mm-hmm. And if the Jews are his, if he's part of that, if he's a Jew himself, why would he want to kill all the Jews like that?
Why does Bernie Sanders hate the Jewish state so much? Bernie Sanders is half Jewish. The senator from Vermont,
he's Jewish.
He's Jewish. He is Jewish?
Yeah, he can't stand the Jewish people.
That's unreal, dude.
Yeah, and another thing too, Stalin, they believe was they think he was maybe Jewish. The one who took over the Soviet Union, they believe him and a few other guys, they were Jewish too.
But I'm just saying.
And they hate Israel.
Why would somebody do something like that? You gotta be evil, brother.
Well, you gotta understand, like we said earlier. Why, like in Africa, the African tribes, black fought blacks and sold each other into slavery.
Yeah.
And you look throughout all history, all tribes and all nations did that. They fought. We don't have, like in England, for example, you got a united England now. You have a united Spain or united France now. But back in the Roman days and
you didn't have that.
Oh, you had different tribes trying to fight off each other. They all had their own king or chieftain. So it just to show you, it depends on what tribe or what stuff you were in, pretty much.
Yeah, it's a pretty good. How can I say it? There's a lot to put on the plate. So, but yeah, like I said, there's some Jewish people today that they hate
Zionism. Yeah, they do.
We're not going to cover everything, but we cover as much as we can, I guess.
We'll see what happens.
That's all we can do.
All right, guys. So that's it for this week. So everybody that's listening, we want to thank y'all again for listening to Brothers Just Searching. We want to go ahead and encourage you to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell button. When you do that, you get all the notifications of new episodes or new things that we're doing. We're planning on doing a weekly live on Facebook. So start looking for that, where one of us give like a 15-minute devotion and stuff. But there's a lot of things going on in this pot, and we're just trying to get it going. So hit that subscribe button, hit the bell on YouTube once again, and also go check us out on Amazon, Spotify, Google, and any majority. We are on 8 platforms for podcasts, and you can go find us at brothersjustsearching.wordpress.com. You can get all the new episodes there. And we just got a crazy schedule. So, but we're going to Rome next week, so we got a lot going on. You know, we got a lot going on.
Yeah.
But to God be the glory. Like I said, it's growing, man. We're going through growing pains right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to see what God's got in store. You know.
I think God has a lot in store for us. I believe.
The harvest is plenty.
We come a long way since Brother Daniel walked out. I mean, since he left,
He got
out of it, and I came on.
We always talk about Brother Daniel, but Brother Daniel never. You know, he's just a busy man. You know that.
Yeah.
Well, I know how he
But
feels.
and he still loves this podcast. So
he
he
comes
does.
on, like I said,
he loves it. He loves coming, but he knows we're doing well, and you know, he knows that.
Baby steps to now. We're established, so that's all that's good, you know.
Oh yeah, and hey, look, I hear a lot of comments. You know, I hear people saying they like it, they like what we're doing, they love us, they want us to continue, and a lot of people are starting to listen.
Amen.
Even people from Brew Bridge. I've been giving out our, the name of our podcast and been talking to people about it. People are starting to listen in Brew Bridge now.
Hey.
So. We
got some great things for us.
I think we're gonna get a harvest.
Yeah. So until next week, Anthony, Brother Bowen.
Yep.
See y'all next week. Everyone that's listening, be safe, be secure. Let God use you for His kingdom. Remember, He's coming back. So hope you're ready. Because if you're not ready, you need to get ready. He's coming soon. Amen. Until next week, God bless.